Hey guys, I'm sorry I'm late. Dinner and bath time sort of threw me off a little bit. We'll give it just a few seconds. Why don't you guys tell me where you're from? Hi. Ooh, Seattle. I've never been there, but I'd really like to. Georgia, Michigan, San Diego, super fun. Atlanta, I'm gonna be in Atlanta in a few weekends. We are well represented today. So I had a couple people ask about hand lettering, and I know I've told you guys before, I actually have a tutorial on the blog, which is tazandbelly.com, and there's a Bible journaling button in the right hand sidebar with some great hand lettering tips, but I thought it might be fun to watch something live. Roll Tide Brandy. We are actually coming to Atlanta for the Alabama-Georgia game. We're going to be staying in Atlanta and driving over to Athens on Saturday, so that'll be fun. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. This is a page that I posted yesterday, I think, and I had a couple people ask about the bubble letters that are in cursive, and then later in the day I had somebody say, oh, you should do a flower tutorial, so I thought we'd sort of wrap both of those into one. I have about 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes if we're pushing it, so I'm going to do the best I can to sort of recreate this page in that time. So I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to try to draw really big so you can see, but I'm drawing in pencil, at least to begin with, so, you know, we'll see. If you can't see, I'll try to adjust it a little bit. I'm going to try to draw standing up, so that should be interesting. So pretty much what I do to begin with is just write the word the first time. So, sorry, I'm a little disorganized. So I'm going to write the word ask, and I just kind of draw it out like that. So can you see that okay? Is it dark enough? Do I need to use a different pencil? I don't want to do it in pen, but okay, we're going to go with it. So I draw it out the first time. Okay, good. Thanks. And then I kind of make some adjustments to the shape of the letter. So, like, okay, I'm going to sit down so I can't see you for just a second. I don't love that the letter A is tall and skinny instead of wide, and I don't like that this loop right here is really thin, but otherwise I kind of like it. So I just make some adjustments in pencil. So I'm going to widen the A up a little bit, kind of make it shorter. I'm going to make a bigger loop over here for the A. And then I really just kind of refine the edges of the letters. Now, when I'm doing this in my Bible, I'm not pressing down nearly as hard with the pencil because I know I'm going to go back and erase all of the pencil lines. But for right now, I'm doing it as dark as I can because I know you guys want to see it. So I just go over the letter several times, refining the shape until I get it to look exactly like I want it to. Okay? So the concept of a bubble letter is that the letter has some dimension. So once I'm happy with the shape, then I'm just going to kind of beef it up a little bit and go a second line. And this one may not be as dark. I'm going to do it kind of sketchy to make sure that I'm getting the shape that I want. And it doesn't have to be one fluid line because all of this is going to be traced over. So sometimes I make the, the bottom loop thicker and sometimes I make the top loop thicker. It just depends on what I think will look best with that shape of the letter. I know I'm quiet right now. I'm sorry. Concentration. Okay, so I'm going to stand back up. I have no idea if you guys said anything. So if you have any questions, now's a good time. I'm looking at the screen. So hopefully that made sense. I really just went over the letter multiple times and beefed it up so that when we go over in pen, we can make it look more like a bubble letter. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the word first because I want both of those words to be in cursive. And so I'm just going to really, it's not easy necessarily, but with lots of practice, I promise you can do it. And you don't have to do it fast. Take your time. And especially when I'm doing bubble letters, I try to space them out a lot, because when you beef them up, then they're automatically going to be closer to one another. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to kind of refine the top of this F. And all the other letters, you know, I think I like well enough. So I'm just going to beef them up a little bit again. And I know I say this every single time, but really try not to let your natural handwriting take over. And if that means that you need to do this, turn it upside down so that you're not compelled to write the letter F so much as draw it, then that is so okay. It's a great practice. It's really hard for me though, because it's not the way I normally draw. So I'm gonna flip it back around. But if you're just getting started lettering, it's a really good thing to practice. It kind of forces you to ignore your own handwriting, and so where your pencil may, you know, automatically be inclined to go one direction for a specific letter, you can kind of avoid that by drawing it upside down. And I'm just going to do kind of a wonky little cross on my T. And then for the word God, obviously I didn't leave very much room, so I'm just going to kind of fit it in here. And you can see, again, nothing about the way I draw out the letters to begin with is precise. So, do I have a YouTube? Yes, it's also Taz and Belly, or you can search Kristen Fields. There are some tutorials there. I have a couple of Periscopes that I've downloaded that I have not uploaded to YouTube yet, and so I may try to do that tomorrow. But there's all sorts of non-hand lettering YouTube-y things, just random family videos and vlogs, so don't be surprised if you go there and hand lettering or Bible journaling is not the first thing you see. So I'm going to try to bring it close to the camera so you can see that it's not perfect in any way, and it's really, really sketchy. This is exactly what every Bible entry starts like in my Bible. Granted, the pencil marks are much, much lighter, but so you can see it doesn't have to be perfect in any way. So at this point, we're going to go over it with the pen, and I'm going to use an Illustrated Faith pen because I have a bunch of them handy, but you can use any pigment liner. And at this point, I'm just going to trace everything. And the one thing that the way I didn't draw it, but that I like is, for instance, the A here where it connects and the F where it connects. I like to leave a space there. And so I'm just going to insert a space as I trace it. So I'm going to duck down a little bit. And so I can't see, so don't ask me a question. Hold on just a second. Can I show the pen? Yes, I did see that before I squatted down. It's just an Illustrated Faith pen, which you can get in there. Does that pen need to retrace after color? No, it doesn't. Yes, I will upload this one to YouTube since you're going to make dinner. Absolutely. So just another pen that I like. This is the Staedtler pigment liner. So if the Illustrated Faith pens are sold out, these are perfect. You can get these at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. There's a 5-pack on Amazon that's like $15 or $16. Yeah, I'm so imperfect. And as transparent about it as possible. Let me show you really quickly before I trace it, just so you can see. I did not go over this pen again after I watercolored. So you can tell that it is a little cloudy in some areas over the pen, but it does not mean you can't see it. I certainly could go over it if I wanted it to be darker, and sometimes I do, but it's not necessary. The watercolor doesn't cover it up by any stretch. Okay, so I'm going to trace now, and I'm going to leave a little, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you to see just because my hand's in the way, so I'm going to try. But I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap right here between, this part of the A and the curve, because just that's the style of lettering I like. And then, sorry, I was going to try to write, this pen is almost dead. Let's try again. I'll try another one. And that one doesn't have a lid on it, which means a little person probably was the last one to use it. Sorry, guys. We're going to go with a different pen. And so I'm just going to trace, you guys, none of my pens want to work today. So I'm going to use a non-Bible journaling approved pen. This is not one I would use in my Bible because it would absolutely bleed, but it's fresh and new, so I'm going to use it for this purpose. And so I just trace the letter really carefully all the way around. And I can still make some adjustments when I go back and do this in pen if there's still something I'm frustrated with in pencil. You know, that just, I guess, depends on how steady your hand is and how confident you are. If you're not confident, then I would just stick with your pencil line. And I just wait, and I'll go back and do all of the cutouts once I get the main part of the letter drawn. So now you can see that little gap there that I was talking about. I'm going to draw the inside of the A and the S. And see, I wasn't very careful right there with that S, and so that part of the letter is thicker than the other parts. I could let that bother me, or I can show you a way in just a minute that we can kind of fix that. And then for the word God, I'm just really going to go over it, you know, just a little thin letter. I'll show you how we can embellish the letters a little bit when we get the pencil lines gone. So same thing with first. I'm just going to really carefully trace around the letters. I know it's hard to see, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard. I'm trying to hold my pen to the side so you can see a little bit better, but it doesn't work very good. You can see I left that little bit of gap there on the F. I don't know why, I like the way that looks. And I got a little loosey-goosey there with my T, and it doesn't look fabulous, but it's not terrible. So we're going to go with it. So at this point, I have all of the ink laid in. And so now we just want to erase. If I were using an illustrated face pen or a pigment liner, I would not at all be concerned about erasing because they don't smear. But this pen is a tripless fine liner, and it does, in fact, smear if you're not careful. So I'm going to go ahead and erase because I don't want you to have to wait forever. Just know that if it smears, you know, this wouldn't happen if I were using a pen that I would really use in my Bible. But I don't want y'all to have to wait while I dig out a new pack somewhere. And the pencil lines are probably going to show because I drew them really, really dark. And even if they don't show, they probably gouged the paper because I was pressing down pretty hard. And in case you haven't watched any previous video or looked at my favorite supply lists or anything like that, these erasers are the best ever. This particular one is by Westcott. I'm not picky about the brand, but you need a white eraser. It does not leave any marks or gunk in your Bible. It does make quite a mess, but you don't have to worry about it smearing or leaving, you know, pink residue behind. So there we go. Ask God first. It's all laid out, and you can see that it's just, I mean, it's wonky. If I was doing this really slow and didn't have an audience, it probably would look a lot prettier and smoother. But, so what we can do to fix that is just go over it a bunch of times, which I won't do the entire thing because you may not want to watch me do that. But I just kind of go over with some loose lines. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be on top of one another. I just kind of beef up the edges like so. And yes, it's messy and very, you know, not precise, but we can also use it to correct that little bit of a curve right there that we messed up. I kind of like, as Kristen Wolbach calls it, whimsical. If you're not following her on Periscope or Instagram, you should. It's Super K Dubs, and we laugh about our imperfections, and I think it's cute that she calls it whimsy. That's totally what it is. So I just kind of make a lot of extra lines, smooth everything out a little bit. It looks a little messy there, but let me show you what it looks like on the finished product. So you can see I just went back a couple of times, and it looks much better once it's all colored in, and I've added a little bit of a shadow. So you really can change the whole look of the letter just by going around it a couple times. In case you are not familiar with the infamous shadow pen, I use a Prismacolor marker. This is a Prismacolor Premier, and it is cool gray 30%, and it has a small tip on one side, which I usually use for small letters, and then I have it has this on the other end. It's not really a brush tip. It's a solid tip, but it's really bendy like a brush. And so I like to go back and add letter shadows with this. And so this is what I always tell my girls. When you've got light shining, it's going to shine on one side of the letter and either top or bottom. And so as a general rule, I do shadows to the left and bottom. My light source is always top right. And sometimes I change it up depending on what I'm drawing and where, but if I stick with the same method, then I don't ever have to worry about messing it up. So we just add a little bit of a gray shadow. It's kind of hard to see that far away, but you can see there. It looks pretty cool. The scripture for which I was journaling this page is 2 Samuel chapter 2. It's right after Samuel hears that, not Samuel, right after, it is 2 Samuel, but sorry. Right after David finds out that Saul and his sons have died, and he is trying to decide where next to go. And despite all that has happened, he doesn't make any move without asking God first. He asks God where he thinks he should go. And what I said yesterday when I shared this page was just, I always seem to ask God last. You know, I try to figure out things by myself, and then when they fail, then I'm like, okay, I should pray about it. And so I'm really working on pray first and see, you know, where God leads, as opposed to taking things into my own hands. The other thing someone asked was about florals. And so I'm just going to draw a couple of quick flowers, and I'm going to draw them in pen. So if I make a mistake, I just make a mistake, but I don't want you to have to watch me draw them twice. So I'm just going to show you a few simple ways that I do flowers. The first one is a rose, because that's what I did yesterday. And I'll go ahead and say this page was heavily influenced by Valerie Wiener's. She posted some beautiful florals earlier in the week, and I posted, let's see, if I can get my hands on them really quickly, I will show you. This was the first page that I posted this week. That was floral. It's going to kind of be sideways. It is Zephaniah 3:17, and it's all in black and white, and I loved it. And then I did a red page, which some of you are probably here because of that red page. Shauna, or someone operating the Illustrated Faith Instagram account yesterday, shared the red page. You guys, I don't even remember where the red page is. I wish that I did. Sorry. I can't find it. Maybe this is it. No, anyway, I posted a red page of florals yesterday, and then I posted, or night before last, I guess, Illustrated Faith posted it yesterday, and then I posted this rose page yesterday, and so I've kind of been on a flower kick this week. So several people asked about that. So we'll start with a rose, and for the rose, you can do it one of two ways. You can either start with the big circle and work your way in, or you can work inside out. It sort of depends on where I'm putting it on the page. If it's the first one I draw, I usually draw from the inside out. And so I start with just a little bit of a circle, and I go around it 2 or 3 times, and then I do a bigger circle with the smaller circle up against the side. So, you know, don't center them, like shift one over. So then the next circle, I would shift the other way. And again, I would go around it a couple of times, and then I would do the other side. And so I just keep doing that until I get to a size that I like. And so if you were going to do it the opposite way, if you knew the size of the flower you wanted, then I would just draw a big circle first, and I would work my way in until I got to the little circle. And so at this point, I'd actually probably draw 2 or 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab one more in here. So then I might add a leaf. And so there's a couple different ways I do leaves. One is just a basic leaf shape with a vein in the middle and some veins on the side. And usually when I do a leaf like this, I'll add some stripes to at least part of the leaf. And you guys just know that if I were actually drawing this in my Bible, I would be a lot slower and more careful, but I just kind of want to give you a general idea. I like to add a lot of texture, so, you know, adding some stripes is always fun. I may do just some little circles that are, you know, other flowers. Another fun way to do a leaf is to do just a long stem and to put a leaf on the end of it. And then I just go back and add leaves all the way down. I could do them closer together, you know, and have more on here, but you get the general idea. I also like, this would require that I do one in pencil though. Another leaf that I like to do is to draw out the shape of the leaf like we did before, and then to do just some notches in it. And then I try to alternate where the notch hits that center piece. And then when we go over it with pen, we just avoid that little edge, and I don't bring it quite to the center. And so that's kind of a fancy leaf. So that's fun. And another thing that we could do is we could draw something similar to this in pencil. So you guys, I'm sorry, my dog is walking around me in circles, so it may be really loud right now. So draw a line and put them much closer together, but with longer leaves. So kind of like this number. And I won't draw the whole thing because, again, you may not want to stand here and watch me do this forever. So kind of like that. And then when you draw around it in one line. Like so. And all of these, if I, you know, draw it with one line like this and I don't like the way it looks, I just go back and add some lines and some shadows and beef it up a little bit. A couple other flower shapes that I really like are sort of a cross shape. So a petal at the top and a petal at the bottom, and then one on both sides. And again, you know, I just kind of go over it a bunch of times. And if you want, you know, the edge to be curled up, you can kind of go over leave a little bit of an edge to it, kind of, and add some leaves in the background. A lot of times I'll do a striped leaf in the back, and I like to do a little fun little stems or stamen or something in the middle. You can get really creative with flowers. There are a lot of great floral artists on Instagram, and I follow a lot of them and get lots of inspiration, but really you can just, I mean, I'm not doing anything right now other than just drawing little circles, just kind of piling them up in the middle. So flowers are really easy, especially these, if you want to kind of practice. Let me look and see if I can show you. I'll show you a couple other floral pages just so you can get an idea of some other things that you can do. Some of these you've probably already seen, especially if you've, oh look, it's the red page. So this is the page that Illustrated Faith shared yesterday. And I drew this out in pencil, and then I used red acrylics. Let's see, I've got it right here somewhere. I used this red acrylic by Martha Stewart. It is habanero, and I just used a really small paintbrush and blocked it out. And then I went back with orange and pink in this same paint and sort of blocked everything out really quickly. And then I went back over it in watercolors. You guys, I'm so sorry. Hold on 2 seconds and let me let the dog out. Oh my word. This is real life periscoping right here. Sorry. So I blocked it all out with acrylics, and then I went back over with watercolor. Yeah, that's funny. So I actually have a watercolor tutorial that will be on the blog on the 22nd. I'm not sure what day of the week that is next week, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, which will kind of show you how I do this watercolor process, just kind of layering up different colors to sort of make a shadowy background. The tutorial is actually for, I'll show you the page. It is a tutorial for this page, which I shared on Instagram probably a month ago. But I've got the entire process start to finish on video. And so that'll be on the blog next week for you to see, and it may give you a better idea of coloring. So here's a floral page, got the rosebuds, and this is one of the leaves that I just showed you. This is the same flower that I drew before, but obviously I spent a little bit more time on it. Let's see. Many of you saw a Bible flip through last week, so I don't want to show you every single page, but I do want to show you some floral ideas. Here is another one. There's that same cross-shaped flower that I just showed you. And then these with long petals are really, really easy. You didn't outline those in pen. On this particular page, these are outlined in pen. Yes, pen and marker. I'm not sure if this is the page you were referring to, so if not, ask a little bit more specific question and I'll be glad to answer it for you. This page actually is drawn with the red page. Okay, hold on. Let's flip back. We'll come back to this one. I did not use any pen on this page at all. This is all paint. The only quote-unquote pen, I guess, that I used is, I can't find the red one, but these distress markers, some of the interior lines, like these right here and these right here, I used a red distress marker just to add really, really fine lines. But all of this outline is red acrylic paint with a really skinny paintbrush. On the all paint flowers, when did you erase your pencil marks? I went over all the pencil marks with the red paint and let that dry, and then I erased anything that the red did not cover up. And then after that, I painted it. But I don't know if I can even show it to you. Yes, I'll be glad to show you the back. Hold on one second. So right here, you can see that there are some pencil lines underneath the paint. I just was really careful to make sure that the pencil lines were underneath something. And then they really don't show at all. You can't even tell that I didn't erase them. Sorry, I'm letting the dog back in. 2 seconds. Sorry, I'm a one-man show tonight. The distress markers bleed the back of the page. If you use distress markers on the Bible page itself, yes, they will bleed very heavily. I will show you an example. Hold on. I know right where it is. I just have to find it. This is, well, they don't bleed so much as shadow. Now, if you go over it a bunch of times, then they will bleed. But I don't have a problem with bleeding. I know a lot of people do. Okay, so here is the back of the red page. You can see through. Most of what you can see is, here's distress marker just a little bit, right here on this leaf. And then these few places are watercolors where I just got really heavy-handed with the water. As long as you keep it a little bit of water and a lot of pigment, it doesn't bleed. But when the paper gets saturated, then the color can kind of transfer to the next page. And believe it or not, this didn't bleed at all. That page is done on that side. You can see there's black on this side, and this is a really light watercolor wash on the other side, and there's no transfer whatsoever. These are also some of my favorite flowers to draw. I draw a small circle in the middle, and then I do the petals, and then I draw another circle around the petals. So usually these lines are actually the petals themselves. It looks like I added a few extra lines on that one, but I love florals, and I have quite a few in here that I can show you. I should have marked them. I thought I would have a little bit more time before 5:45, but my youngest daughter got home, and then my husband was leaving to pick up the oldest daughter from dance, and it just got crazy. So So that's the page I've already showed you. You can see that nothing bled through except for the shadow marker. This marker here, it does bleed through. Nothing you can do about it. You could use a gray colored pencil to do shadows, but bleeding doesn't really bug me so much, so that's not, I don't worry about that. Here is another floral that's a completely different kind of floral on the first page of Psalms. This is just stress markers, and so you can see some places it shadowed a little heavier with the darker colors and where I was really heavy-handed, but for the most part, it doesn't bleed. So you can see, I mean, these are really simple flowers here. I mean, this is a square with some petals around it and, you know, a striped stem, just some detail around the leaves. So you don't have nothing. I mean, this, it's just, you know, wonky little leaves down the side. It does not have to be anything super involved to be beautiful. This is another floral here. These actually just drew in pencil and went over them in pen and erased all of the pencil marks, and then in between the flowers I colored with colored pencil. This is not paint. I didn't add anything to the colored pencils. It's just straight up colored pencils. I just blended one color into another. I love black and white florals, and so I wrote out some journaling in the petals, and honestly I'd be hard pressed to tell you what this said even if I attempted to read it, but at the time it was really important to write, and so it was more of a process than worrying about what it would look like later. Let's see, I think I have a few. This is another floral that's way loosey-goosey. I actually was completely inspired to do this page by some note cards in the Target dollar aisle. What brand of colored pencils do you have? Would love to see how you did that with colored pencils. Okay, hold on, I'll show you. It's gonna, I mean, it'll be kind of a quick version, but so I don't use anything fancy, you guys. These are Crayola Twistables. The reason I like them is that they have a very dull edge. I do not want a sharp point on a colored pencil because a sharp point to me is much more difficult to blend. And so I just, in fact, I try to dull it somewhere. So I just draw really, really light layers of color, and then as I pull away from wherever my darkest part of the color is, I just kind of lighten my hands. You can see it's really, it's not really dark, it's still really light, but it's darker here, and I made it blend to, you know, really light. And then I would overlap the colors in the opposite way. So I would draw really, really light here, and I would continue to get darker here, and I would just go back and, I mean, build up layers of color. Just draw really, really light in the beginning. You can always add more color, and, you know, if it doesn't blend well the first time, then I just, you know, may take my other color and go back over it and just kind of overlap all the colors. Overlap where the purple is by itself, overlap where the purple and brown are together, and then overlap a little bit where the brown is by itself, and it just gives you a gradual gradient. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell on the video. It doesn't look perfect right now. You can still see all of the pencil marks, but the more you layer it, the better you will get at hiding those. And if you have a problem doing it in strokes like that, you can always just kind of do a little bit of a circular motion, and so it'll kind of make a cloud of color. And then, you know, I just start to darken it up in places. Sometimes my processes are a little bit difficult to explain. Does a blender pencil, I've never tried a blender pencil with these, but it might. Certainly something to try. And I know a lot of people will use, like, not lacquer thinner, but something like that on a brush and sort of, you know, blend them with a brush. So you might want to try that. I really just do straight up pencil and worry about blending them, you know, by overlapping. This particular page was inspired by a note card from Target in the dollar aisle, which I actually made the tab out of. Ma'am? Yes, you're perfectly fine. I'll be glad to help you in just a second. Sorry, I had some questions for some little people. So these are really, I mean, there is nothing difficult about this. It is just a blob of paint with some layers over it. So it does not have to be difficult. I do have a few more floral pages that are a little bit more involved. I'm sorry I didn't mark these ahead of time. Hang on. So Here is a floral on this page. Also, just really simple shapes. This one's not nearly as painterly, but I really like it. And I don't know if you can tell in the video, but I used a silver acrylic paint on this one, so it's really light reactive, which I like. I think there's a few other flowers. Let's see. I mean, I know there is one that is a full page floral. Here's another good example, though, of the distress markers. You can see that one bled pretty severely. What was the silver paint? Martha Stewart? No, I don't. Hold on, and I'll tell you what the silver paint is. I'll have to pull it off the shelf. Here's another. This is one of the very first florals I did. And that's all colored pencil. That is all Crayola twistable. This is a floral that I'm working on that I haven't finished. I drew it out in pencil, but I haven't painted it yet. Maybe I'll do that one tonight. You can see I kind of work in stages. I draw a lot, and then we'll go back to them. Okay, here is one of the florals I was looking for. So this is just black and white pen again, and Crayola twistable colored pencil in and around. And you can see I've gotten to where I can pretty much blend it out into white, which I like a lot. Here is another kind of whimsical floral. It's a 2-pager. These were very Stephanie Ackerman inspired. She has a really fun way of drawing flowers. There's one more, a crazy big floral. Here it is. This is my favorite floral page of all the days. It was drawn in pencil, and then I painted it first with acrylics. This is with the Martha Stewart acrylics. And then went back over it with a black pen. I did some journaling in the florals with a black pen. And then I went back with the white pen. I used this Uniball Signo and added some white detail. I have a lot of people ask about this page because this one does cover up words. And I know a lot of people don't love that. I don't have very many pages where you can't read them. This is one of them. But what I always say to people is I have an app on my phone, and so I usually just use the app in conjunction with my Bible. I do have other Bibles. I see people say a lot that they use this only as an art Bible. They never take it anywhere, and they study out of a study Bible, and that is not me. This is my primary Bible. I carry it to church. I carry it in my bag to work every day. I pretty much have it on me at all times because I have people ask about it a lot, and I like to be able to show it. And so I just use an app in conjunction with this. So if I can't read it, I just whip out my phone and read, whatever I need to. So it doesn't bother me as much as it might. Thank you for saying that. I didn't catch her username, but I did catch her little message there. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I won't lie. I did go to art school. That was my thing. I am not art is not my career, but I did not for 1 second regret that I went to school to do that. I drew and painted a lot. I was actually a printmaker. So Neely, I'm so glad you're here. Yay. Neely is one of my favorite internet friends. It is so cool to have friends that you don't know in real life. So I've talked a lot about friends this week, actually, on the blog and on Instagram, and I will not lie, I have a lot of really, really great friends that I met on the internet. Even one of my best in real life friends is a blogger, and we just connected, and lo and behold, we live 10 miles from one another. So yeah, it's a funny thing, but it can be done. So that's really all I was going to show you guys tonight. Just a quick lettering tutorial and some flowers, because those are things that I've had questions about this week. I have a few minutes. If there are any other things that you wanted to see or that you have questions about, I would love to hear it. I try to do a Periscope a week, usually on Thursday nights and sometimes on Saturdays, depending on the football schedule. But I like asking people what they want to see next week. So if you have any suggestions, I'm all ears. And you know what? I would love? Oh, silver paint. Yeah, hold on just a second. Let me grab it. Let me see. It's actually by Folk Art. Okay, hold on. Shadow pen, what? Bottom left. Periscope. Okay, perfect. So this is the silver paint. It's by Folk Art. I will say that you need to shake the ever-loving heck out of it before you use it because it separates. It's really, really oily. But if you shake it up really good, it works perfectly. And it's a really thin layer. So actually on that page, I painted that page gray and let it dry, and then I did sort of a silver wash over it. It is not heavy at all. You can totally see all the things through this. Somebody asked about the shadow pen. I'm not sure if the question was just, did you use one or what do you use? Prismacolor Premier in cool gray, 30% is what I use. Don't you apply acrylic paint with an old credit card? In some cases, yes. These pages, obviously, I just painted with a paintbrush. More lettering tutorials, okay? Like different styles of letters, maybe? Hold on, let's see. Let me show you. This also is acrylic paint. What is your Etsy shop for Christmas cards? It is Taz and Belly, or it might actually be, okay, go to the blog, tazandbelly.com, and there should be a shop link. And if there's not, there will be, because all Christmas cards will be in the shop before the 22nd or the 21st. So that is on my to-do list for the weekend. So if you can't find it on the blog, just be patient, and I will have an update on the blog on the 21st, I think, with all sorts of answers about how to order and what the process is, how long it takes, how to deposit, all that kind of stuff. This is also acrylic paint. It was not applied with a credit card. It was applied with a brush, and I just do it really heavy at the top and then water it down and kind of pull it down the page. But I will show you a credit card page. Hold on. This is an ugly page though. Let's move on and see if we can find a prettier one. I have not used a baby wipe to paint with, but it's so on my to-do list after watching Arden do it. So yes. Martha makes great metallic paints that you can get at Joann's. Oh, good to know. I am a new Martha Stewart paint convert, not convict. And I've actually seen, I am not an artist as a career. I'll come back to that. I've actually seen several people say they don't like using craft paint. They prefer heavy body paints. I don't. I like craft paint just fine. I do not do any printmaking in my Bible. I would love to. I need to think about how exactly to make that happen. I was actually a lithographer, so I had a printing press. Which is, you know, a $30,000 piece of equipment, so not something I can just have in my basement. But there are some ways that you can do sort of a litho process at home, and I would really like to work on figuring that out. I am not an artist as a career. I'm actually a paralegal. I work at the oldest law firm in the state of Alabama, and my job is very technology driven, which is a complete and total opposite. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I'm actually about 30 miles south of Birmingham, but I work downtown, so I consider myself a Birmingham native. Anyway, so I work in the legal field, and I'm an artist by night. I have a graphic design freelance business and do lots of birth announcements and birthday cards, birthday invitations, Christmas cards. I'm an art teacher, and we do some homemade screen printing. Yes, with linoleum. Awesome. Ha, Adrienne, that's really funny. I sort of fell into the paralegal field, but love it. Okay, so this is a page that I used a credit card with, and so you can see, you know, you can make different shapes with it depending on how you load the credit card. I have since graduated, and I had some credit to, like a gift card to Hobby Lobby, and so I bought this Catalyst, which is what I use now. It has several different places that you can put paint on it. It's really, really, yay, graphic designers! It's really flexible, and so I really like the way that this applies paint. Let me see if I can show you a page where I use that specifically. This is a Catalyst page. It could easily be done with a credit card, but it wasn't. I did it with Catalyst. Any other questions? We know we want more lettering. That was really the only request that I got tonight, so maybe I'll do another lettering tutorial on another day with some different shapes of letters. The only thing on this page that is lettered is this beautiful. Here is another, this is what we did today. This is another, just a cursive bubble letter. I actually went back with a white pen and filled in those letters. Well, okay guys, if you don't have any other questions, I'll let you get on with your bad selves. I'm sure you all have something else to do. It's 6:30 here. I don't know what time it is where you are. Thank you, Adrienne. I appreciate it. If you're not already, this is such a shameless plug, but I'm on Instagram as Taz and Belly, and on Have you given the feather stamps away? Yes, I actually did. I've contacted 2 winners, one of which I've heard from and one of which I have not. And so I'm going to give it a couple more days. And if I don't hear from that person, then I will select another winner. Anyway, so Taz and Belly on Instagram and Twitter. I have like 0 Twitter followers. I want to be a tweeter. And so I'm really trying. So if you're on Twitter, for the love, you should totally follow me and I'll follow you back. And then I also have a Facebook page, and the blog is tazandbelly.com. I blog a lot about Bible journaling and art stuff, and family stuff, and heart stuff. So I would love it if you would join me there. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a great time with your families tonight or today, wherever you are. Awesome, Adrian. I appreciate that. All right, I'm going to swipe down now. Bye.